Welcome, my medieval castle dwellers. My name is Flair Bliss, and we've returned back to our adventures of Our Wonderland. The floating spires turn out to be attached to a castle, a large castle. And as we row closer, it looms all the larger, soaring walls, giant towers, twisting walkways, and glittering red peaks. Genzu's silent as he looks up at it. I tossed him a glass. Everything okay? Yeah. Everything's, right as rain. Yep, especially after what we just witnessed. But I catch his smile falling once he thinks I've looked away. There's a scrapping rumble beneath us, and the boat slows to a stop. We've hit land. There's no dock or pier here. Instead, the lake simply glides up against the bank, almost like some kind of grassy beach. We hop out of the boat into the ankle-deep water and drag it the rest of the way. It's getting pretty dark now, and I'm not too keen on walking around this place at night. I pad further up onto the bank, my feet squishing inside my shoes. What now? Genzu wanders over. For a second he looks at me as though he wants to say something, but he ultimately remains quiet. Come on, Genzu. I see him scratch at his calf with the side of his foot. We check out the town? I say, breaking the silence. There might be some place for us to get some sleep. God knows we could both use a soft bed at this point. Well, we could have used a soft bed, but then some intervention came along the name of Gidget. Yeah. Well, come on then. I start to turn away, only for Genzu to step forward and grab the sleeve of my shirt. Is everything okay, Genzu? Iggy, But he doesn't continue. He stands there for a moment, his brows furrowed and his breath heavy. What is it, Genzu, our friend? And I swear I catch the tiniest hint of pink on his cheeks. Then he seems to realize what he's doing because his eyes go to the grip of his fingers on my sleeve and he jerks away with a start. Sorry, he mumbles, gaze dropping to the ground. He really is not himself, really. I raise a brow. What is it? Nothing, just me being stupid is all. Genzu, you can stop with a facade. We know something is gnawing at you. But what else is new? Am I right or am I right? I blink. Right. Anyway, what were you saying? We find ourselves a place to shack up? Sounds great to me. God knows I'm about ready to lose my mind at this point. Just give me a few hours and not have to worry about whether or not my mom will have someone to take care of her in her ripe old age. God damn, is it getting dark out? Come on, Eggs. Let's blow this popsicle stand before it's so dark we can't even see our own manhoods. Your logically sound night shall lead the way. I'm very suspicious of Genzu, and with that he takes off. I watch him putter his way up the hill. What the hell? But for multiple reasons, now is not exactly the best time for me to be mulling over the complexities of Genzu's deteriorating psyche. So, with a little shake of my head, I start after him. Just over the hill is a small dark path. It curves around a few fishing shacks before gradually morphing into a cobblestone road that leads towards the castle town we saw from the boat. It's eerily quiet, though. I don't spy a single soul besides the two of us. Even the fishing shacks look abandoned, some of them standing with their doors wide open while others are boarded shut completely. I know I said those words the wrong way round, but they still make sense nonetheless. The whole place looks deserted. Are we the only ones here? I smell a trap, but Genzu is already a good couple of yards ahead of me. I'm not sure he doesn't hear my comment or just doesn't acknowledge it. Or perhaps somewhere along the lines. I jog to catch up. And I notice him start to walk just a bit faster. What is with the haste? He doesn't look at me. With a frown and simply fall into step behind him. At least it doesn't take long. Soon we'll make it to the town proper. Ah, this is something we've never seen before. There are more buildings here. Cozy cottages and apartments. Quaint storefronts. Airy cafe areas. And in the middle of the main square, a fountain tinkling away. But it's equally as deserted as the fishing shack, Nothing and no one in sight. Damn, this place is like a ghost town. 50,000 people used to live here. Now, it is full of rabbits with spears. There's gotta be someone here. Maybe we should, split up? No, that's the worst thing to do. Yeah, split up and look. I don't say anything for a moment. Then, what? My voice crackles with a squawk. There's not even anybody here. It'll be fine. Yeah, that's the scary part. It's because we can't find anybody. It's best we stick together. So therefore we suffer together. Besides, it'll take us forever to search this whole place if we don't. Look, I know what you mean, but it's better if we stick together, okay? I guess? Okay, cool. Give me a shout if you find someone. I just stand there. Watch him scutter away. He really is not himself. Sure, okay, I say to the empty air. I frown and scrape my feet over the cobblestones. Did I do something wrong? I try to replay our previous conversations in my head. I must have said something. Something really awkward, maybe. It wouldn't be the first time. But the idea that Genzu wouldn't want to be around me makes it feel like there's a big cold stone just sitting right smack in the middle of my gut. I give my hair a flurried tousle and let out groan. I'm overthinking this. I should go search the town. The sooner we find someone, the sooner we'll get to rest, even if only for a bit. And so I wander off towards the nearby buildings. Hello? Housekeeping? I peek my head into what looks like a deserted cafe. Anybody home? Yes, nobody is home. Now pee off. No, I step inside, and the door clunks shut behind me. Almost like we're in a game. Every time we enter an abandoned building, the door behind us magically shuts and magically locks itself. I poke out my bottom lip with a bemused glance about the premises. It's a cute cafe. Or at least it would be if it wasn't dark and eerily deserted. I let myself amble somewhat aimlessly around the main dining area, almost as though making a show of searching for someone. But clearly my heart isn't really in the search. I sit down at one of the tables instead, rest my chin in my hands. Maybe he's really annoyed at me. I wouldn't blame him. I annoy myself all the time. I pause, blink. I'm still thinking about him? What's wrong with me? I've never been so hung up on something like this in my life. But yet here we are. Or someone. I tap my finger idly on the marble surface of the table. It's true. My feelings towards Genzu are different than my feelings towards others. I feel very safe around him. Like I belong somehow. Do not allow Gidget's fascination and obsession with owning you to somehow warp your own imagination into thinking that somehow Genzu owns you. It's the same thing I thought earlier back in his shop. Being around him doesn't sap me of energy like it does with others. And when he smiles at me, it makes me happy. It makes you think that Genzu's smile is genuine, earnest. Happy? It makes me goddamn ecstatic. I groan and rub up my face. I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. Why can't I have normal feelings like a normal human being? Everyone else in the entire world seems to have figured out this stuff already. Ho ho ho. You'd be surprised, dear Iggy. I'm sure there are so many people that are still trying to fathom out how to communicate with others. A sound outside catches my attention, and just about to turn my head, it grows from a lone clatter to a veritable cacophony. What the... I jolt from my chair, heart quickly leaping into overdrive. Then run towards the door, ear to the grain. The sounds continue, a scuffle of sort, then abruptly come to a stop. I keen my ears, fingers trembling nervously against the wood of the door. Okay, you've got me. I surrender. Ah, that's Genzo. Who are you? You don't look like one of the citizens here. Whoa, easy on the goods. I like it. Genzo, for goodness sakes. Oh dear, get your mind out of the gutter for once, man. Disgusting human. I'm taking you in. His Majesty will love playing with you. Genzo? I react before my brain has a chance to register what I'm doing. Ah! I storm straight out the door. Genzo! I need to instantly blanch. Ah, knew it. It was rabbits after all here. Genzo's been held aloft in the middle of the street by a duo of rabbit guards. Oh dear. Extremely tall rabbit guards, mind you. Yes, but they stand about 8 foot tall. And at my brazen entrance, all 3 sets of eyes turn towards me. Who's this one? Scrawny little guy, ain't he? Guess they come in different sizes. Some of them are larger and others are skinnier. Genzo's face has gone white. That's, Then he seems to get an idea. Boys, you better watch out. I'm getting away. He begins to wriggle and tug against the rabbit's grip. Stop that wiggling. 2-way forward, you give me a hand. You know, I really wish you would call me Jerry. No, your name is 284, okay? You may have a name, but within the hierarchy of this kingdom, we go by your sentry name. Both rabbits turn their attention back to Genzo. I can only imagine this was supposed to be some kind of distraction so that I could run away. But screw that. Head on a swivel, I search my embryons for something long and hard. My gaze lands on a rake leaning up against the side of a cafe. Perfect! I grab it and let out a roar, like if I'm some kind of infamous warrior out of the history books. Then charge. The rabbits never see it coming, except they are utterly unamused. I'll whack them across their shoulders, their backs, their legs. Again and again and again and again. One whip-like lash after the next, until my breath is run ragged and my voice hoarse. And when I finally pause to admire my handiwork... I just see both of them just staring down at me in confusion. None but worse for wear. It's like, are you even trying to attack? I'm not even feeling your attempts, puny one. Even Genzo is eyeballing me as though I just sprouted a second head. It's the looks on the rabbit's faces that are getting me. Shit. I'm even swamping. I readjust my grip on the handle of the rake. I have to try again. I raise the rag back above my head. Yeah, I think they could just pick you up and you'll be done and over with. I mean, you're not exactly in the best conditions with all of the injuries on your face, and with the hair missing as well. Defense less by 5. Oh, only for the nearest rabbit to swat me across the back with the flat side of his spear. Well, glad it is the flat side and not the pointy bit. Like, honestly. Oh dear, you tried with all your might, Iggy. And for goodness sakes, it only takes one little tooth for the rabbit to take you out by surprise. The impact sends me straight to the ground. By the way, I'm not laughing about the fact that Iggy is struggling here. I'm just laughing about the futility of this situation. I last about a second after my skull hits the cobblestones. Then black out. So the situation of how we get to the castle, I imagine, is different, but we still get to the castle nonetheless. Yes, there are those bright red ribbon things. I'm awoken from my stupor by the slap of marble against my face. I groan. A tendril of drool works its way down between my lips to tickle the tile. Iggs! A voice hisses next to me. And when I blearily sit up, I see Genzo with his arms held behind his back by one of the rabbit guards. One of the many rabbit guards. My eyes widen as I attempt to comprehend our situation. There's a whole circle of them surrounding us. And past them, the room opens up into a gigantic hall with ceilings that reach for the sky. I can only stare up in awe as I try to massage away the residual pain in my jaw. Iggy! Genzo hisses again, then tugs against the grip of his arms with a grunt. Let go of me, you overgrown Easter bunny! He manages to wiggle free with one last zealous heave and promptly face plants on the floor. Apparently the guards don't actually care at this point, because they don't try to re-grab him. Perhaps because mission is already completed. Iggs, you okay? He asks with a shake of his head before crawling over, sorry. That big lug of bug whacked you a good one. Well, we tried to give at least 20 different blows, but yet they didn't even feel it. Maybe the rake was very blunt. I think so, as one rubs at the side of their head. Just a little out of it. Little? You were unconscious, not just a little. Fully. I toss another glance around at our surroundings. Where are we? That big eyesore of a castle we saw on the way up. Somebody's clearly compensating for something with this place. Oh dear, I'm sure you know who the owner is if you're gonna say that line, Genzo. Genzo's smile falls, but then returns, then falls again. He scratches at the hair beneath his cap. You, attacked a 7-foot tall rabbit with a broom for me. Okay, maybe not 8 foot, but 7 foot is still pretty close, okay? At least it's not like 2 foot in comparison to 1 foot. The proportion percentage is not as bad if you try to attack something that's 1 foot when you're 2 foot, rather than 8 foot and 7 foot. Anyways, back to the main topic at hand, Our Wonderland. I stop, stare at him. Feel my cheeks start to burn. It was a rake, actually. Oh, right. Are you sure it was a rake? Attention! The sudden screech from behind us nearly hands to my ear, sorry. And the rabbits pull a quick, synchronous salute that echoes off the walls. I know I mispronounced that word. It's quiet for a moment. Then I hear the footsteps. Hello there. From the far hallway, a small figure emerges, clapping its hands together softly. That was quite the show you put on in the village. Hello, Orlum. It's Orlum. Goddamn Orlum, of all people. Sporting a gaudy as crap crown, a red velvet cape with white and black fur, and escorted on either side by a pair of over-embellished rabbit attendants. Surely you would wear something better as a king than a goddamn white shirt. My jaw drops nearly to the floor. I thought Orlum just went to the floor there because of the animation. Genzo wobbles to his feet. I could see him trying his hardest not to laugh. Well, that explains the aura of pretentious something dripping off the walls of this place. As pleasant a mouth as always, I see. But what it doesn't explain is why the hell you sent your long-eared flunkies after us. Do you even know how many times those fiends have tried to kill us? But Genzu dear, they're only doing their duty. Orlum oozes over and loops an arm around Genzu's shoulder. Their constant surveillance is essential to the smooth operation of this kingdom. Really now, and impalement is one of those constant surveillance duties, I imagine? After all, we wouldn't want any miscreants running amok down here now, would we? He gives Genzu's nose a sardonically affectionate squeeze at this. Genzu looks about 50 shades of uncomfortable, and none of them are comfortable. I guess not. Besides, I'm a busy man. I can't keep track of everything my men do out there. Well, surely that puts your reputation of a kingdom at risk. I was about to say at ease there, but not really at risk, considering you don't know what your guards actually do out there. Let me make it up to you. Orlum leans in so close as I wonder their foreheads don't touch, before just abruptly pulling away and raising his fingers with a snap. Guards! Get them cleaned up, would ya? I want them looking spotless for the feast tonight. You don't elaborate what the feast is. I'm really concerned. As he glides away and as a set of rabbit attendants scurry forward, bobbing and bowing and ushering us off. It's all I can do to shoot Genzu a look of sheer bewilderment at this rapid-fire series of developments. Something tells me it's not going to be the cauldron, but some other means of torture. What? The actual tarnations? What? Never in my life have I felt more exposed. Standing in the middle of the tub with my arms raised, I eye my rabbit attendant wearily as he scrubs me down. Is this really necessary? I ask, trying to disguise the tremor in my voice as I watch him tackle my thighs. Stand still. I jerk back up to attention and spend the rest of the bath with my eyes trained on the far wall. Once the cleansing is finished of all of my dirt and of my sins, and I feel as though I've lost about 3 layers of skin, I'm toweled off and dressed in a thick white robe. Then it's to the large vanity, where my curls are blown dry, what's left of them, and where I'm given a choice view of the state of my face for the first time. I grimace in the mirror. My eyes are a strange mixture of purple and red and dark, like 2 sunken holes in the middle of my face. Thank you, Gidget, for that. And they're surrounded by thick purplish brown rings that makes me look like some kind of degenerate raccoon or a zombie. My cheeks are lined with more bruises, a strange mixture of green, purple, and brown dotted with dark red scabs. Ooh dear. My attendant finishes brushing out my now fuzzy hair, and I place my glasses back on my nose, rightfully so. Thankfully, their thick frames hide some of the damage. There's a knock at the door, and another rabbit enters the room, holding a neatly folded set of clothes. It takes me a second to realize they're my own. Wait, what'd you... They've been cleaned and dried and perfectly pressed. I've no idea. I couldn't have been in the bath longer than 20 minutes, but these rabbits are ultra efficient. I'm giving no explanation, of course, instead scuffled back over to the changing area, where my attendant promptly sets to work fitting me into the newly cleaned attire. I raise my arms and he tugs my shirt over my head, smoothing it carefully across my front and back, then tucks me into my pants and clenches the waist tight with the clasp. Infantilized. doesn't even come close to how this entire situation has made me feel. Infantilized? I don't know the pronunciation of a word. What? I'm sure I do, it's just not coming out of my tongue. Once I'm finally finished, my attendant leads me back out into the hall. Genzo and his attendant emerge from a door on the opposite side at almost exactly the same time. He looks disturbed. It seems like we both have a similar kind of episode going on down here. Was that the weirdest goddamn thing you have ever experienced, or did they do something different to you? He hisses at as our attendants guide us back downstairs. You mean with the bathing and everything? Yes! Then his eyes grow sharp. Nobody did anything to you, did they? I blink, look away. My cheeks feel warm. No, it was fine. Just uncomfortable, but that was all. Finally, he gives my shoulder a little squeeze of reassurance. Okay, that's the last time I'm going to ignore that. A little squeeze of reassurance. You're safe now, yeah? Not that I really trust that person downstairs, but what's the worst he could do? I'm sure you're gonna find out in the next 24 hours. Weird us, but blank out like normal? I simply nod, sorry. The cold sense of dread clutching at my bowels has yet to fully recede, but I can feel its grip loosen somewhat. Move along! One of the attendants barks from behind us, which sends us scuttering back into gear and moving quickly down the hallway. Genzo as always looks concerned. Did we see this CG before? I don't think so. As we're descending the steps, Genzo starts to fidget. Hey, sorry about earlier. I try to turn, but my rabbit attendant gives me an impatient shove from behind to keep me moving. Back in the town. Needed some time to think is all. It's fine. It was a good idea to split up. I say quickly, waving my hands at dismissal. Genzo just winces. And when we reach the bottom of the stairs, he turns his attention to our increasingly grandiose surroundings. Titanic-sized flags line either side of the corridor, almost as though welcoming a colossal beast. And a brilliant red carpet besets the middle, leading the way to an equally as impressive door. I wonder who lives here. Jesus. Two rabbit attendants step to the side as the doors open on their own like magic. And here, revealing an enormous golden ballroom, and at its center, a long table piled high with some of the most opulent food I've ever seen in my entire life. My eyes practically bug out of my head. My eyes have grown 10 times bigger than my belly. But even as I eye the food, I can feel a gurgle of disquietude bubbling inside my gut. Next to me, Genzo doffs his cap and holds it to his chest. Mary, Mother of Jesus. Hungry, gentlemen? You have walked an awful long way. You deserve a treat. Genzo twitches. I'm not even going to comment how weirdly sexual that sounded, so Orlum just smiles, his already heavily lidded eyes squinting further in amusement. Yes, everything is that kind of topic to you, isn't it? You have always liked to have your cake and eat it too. Oh, because you're the patron saint of purity. Orlum ignores him. He ambles over and throws his arms around both of our shoulders. Come, come. Enough loitering around in this drafty doorway like a bunch of simpletons. My chef has put a lot of heart into this meal. It would do him a disservice to let it get cold. Exactly. At least Orlum has some kind of respect for his underlings, even if it's just a particle-sized amount. Genzo winces, but allows himself to be guided towards the table all the same. It is a rather tempting sight. Look at all this food. We are seated on either side of the table, more sets of rabbit attendants scurrying to ready our chairs. Orlum himself sits at the head of the table in an extravagant throne that looks like it could fit 5 of him inside it. But yet there's only one king in this kingdom. He leans back amongst the pile of cushions and blankets lining the seat, chin balanced on his palm. Then raises his arm in the air and snaps his fingers like if he's Thanos or something. One of the rabbit attendants waiting aside the far door darts over and places a gold wine glass in his outstretched hand, then immediately fills it. Orlum swirls it, takes a sip, glances at us, both simply watching him in awkward disbelief. He waves a hand in exasperation. Eat! Eat! I snap my head back towards the food. I am hungry. Famished even. Though something about the food seems off. And elaborate on that matter. Something I can't quite put my finger on. Something tingling in the back of my brain like a dream fizzling on the edge of my consciousness. I shake my head. Now's not the time to let myself get disconnected from reality. We need to eat, if only to regain our strength. With only a slight pause, I reach forward and begin grabbing some of the best looking items off the table, filling up my plate. Before Genzu... Oh, wait a minute. Genzu is looking quite concerned there. What is he thinking of? Genzu snorts as he forks a giant slice of roast and rips half of it off of his teeth. He doesn't seem at all concerned about the food, if the giant pile on his plate is any indication. You sure got everyone whipped around here. I mean, what do you expect? I am the king. I can do whatever I want, and no one's gonna stop me. He takes another gulp of his wine. It feels good to be respected for once. I poke at my potatoes and watch the gravy run over the side and onto my asparagus. When I glance back up, Orlum's looking at me. He's got that little grin again, almost as though he can somehow feel my growing discomfort. I bring a spoonful of stuffing to my mouth. Haircut, Iggy? What? I probably choke around the spoon. Your hair. I couldn't help but notice it's lacking its usual volume. A bit choppy though. You should go to somebody else. Wait a minute. What do you mean by somebody else? It's almost like you know who cutted our hair, or maybe I'm thinking too far into this. I drop my gaze back to my plate and swallow the stuffing with an over-exaggerated gulp. Right. Yeah. Orlum rests his chin on his fist with a snicker. At any rate, can I get you gentlemen some wine? His arm goes up before we have the chance to respond, and another snap sends 2 rabbits attendants to the table with ready glasses to serve us. I'm not really sure I should be drinking alcohol right now, but I also don't really feel I'm in a position to say no. Oh, sure. Don't mind if I do. Genzu promptly downs about half his glass in one gulp. I just look at mine in growing discomfort. The deep red color makes it look like blood. Well, it is red wine, but it shouldn't be that shade of red if that is the case. My stomach twists. I turn my gaze back to Orlum instead. He's not looking at me anymore, or the food. In fact, his eyes are focused on Genzu. I kinda had this kind of conclusion fathomed out after our first time with Gidget, that there could be some kind of fascination complex going on where one of us will always be a victim of one person's ideal kingdom. In Gidget's case, her kingdom is the town, the village, and all of its people. Not village, but the town and its people. Whereas Orlum's kingdom is literally a kingdom, like the rabbits are saw at the very start of the Wonderland cycle. And then, yeah, it keeps going on from there. Or maybe there are 2 different kingdoms with rabbits on them. Or perhaps not. He's staring at Genzu, leaning forward, chin in his hand, grinning from ear to ear. His gaze follows Genzu's every move. From the moment of a wine glass from mouth to table to the forkfuls of cottage pie he shovels into his mouth. If my stomach had been twisting before, it's absolutely contorting now. Why does all of this feel so familiar? And not just familiar, dread-inducing. Olin picks up a fork and uses it to cut off a small piece of a bright red meatloaf. He jabs it onto the tines, then floats it in Genzu's direction. Try some of the loaf. No! I reach forward with a squawk before I can stop myself. Both of them turn towards me with identical looks of confusion, and I feel my cheeks start to burn. What's wrong, Hicks? Got something against meatloaf? Genzu just laughs. I don't know what to say. I don't even know why I've done that myself. Perhaps you think there's a hunch going on with you, thinking that somehow the meatloaf has been poisoned. But yet, Orlan won't be the first one to try it out. I tug on my collar, all of a sudden feeling very warm. I just had a bad feeling, is all. Put a hand to my face. I don't know. Orlan lowers his fork with a smile. It's no surprise, really. You seem to have gone through quite the ordeal. That can't have been good on your health. Mental health. I lower my head, clasp and unclasp my hands. I guess, yes, I suppose so. Orlan stares at me a good second longer. He takes a sip from his wine, sits back. You didn't happen to run into Gidget, did you? How'd you know? He asked, bouncing his elbow on the arm of his throne. I twitch as a chill runs up my spine, and no, this video is not shown on Twitch. Gidget. My throat feels incredibly tired. You'll be mine forever. I'm having trouble forming the words to response. Fortunately, Genzu saves me. We sure goddamn did. Not that it did us any favors, he says with a grumble that sends tiny flecks of cornbread out through his teeth. Oh. And here I thought you'd be treated as honored guests given Gidget's, pallid proclivities. Another twitch. My own little Iggy. I stare down at a spot on my pants. Is it blood? I can't tell. But why are you staring down at a spot on your pants anyways? There'd been so much of it. Seeping down my cheeks, flooding my eyes. She's doing quite well for herself though, yes? And some of those shoots she's doing, positively erotic. Orlan rubs his chin with a lascivious skyward gaze. I confess to having subscribed to her work myself. Get it every week through the Royal Mail. Hey, guess what, okay? You're not in the UK. You do not get the Royal Mail. I'm not one to say no to the innate beauty of the flesh, after all. Not that I don't get my fill. Why I gotta be okay. The noble women, they can't get enough of me. I'm sure that once they get away from you, they'll be very pleased. I keep special housing close by for the most desirable of my royal subjects. We have grand parties every night, so where are they now? Sometimes I even have 4 or 5 of them join me and we don't even need to know. Ah, shut up already! No one wants to hear about your gross sexual escapades. Genzu rolls his eyes. Autumn stops, gives Genzu's a pleased glare. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot you're only interested when there's men involved. And guess what? Okay, Autumn, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Genzu's face goes white. Autumn? He hisses, all of a sudden looking incredibly nervous. Orlan. This seems to give Orlan pause. He blinks. looks at me, then practically melts into an impatient smirk. Oh, I see. You still haven't told him yet, have you? Told me what? I asked with an arc of my brows. He taps his chin. You know, I did always wonder why you never told him in particular. Isn't he your best friend? Alden, please, Genzu's brows twist in panic. I hear his chest creak as he jerks forward. Because it's really curious if you think about it. Alden taps a finger to his lips and peers at the ceiling as though really ruminating on this. Genzu just throws a hurried glance in my direction. He looks as wise as a sheet, but also, what is it that Genzu is apparently hiding? But before he can say anything, and before the pieces can fully connect in my head, Orlum turns his attention back towards me. But not nearly as curious as Iggy. Genzu, I can read, but Iggy? You've always been a bit of an enigma to me. He leans forward, hand his chin and eyes narrowed. The sudden scrutiny makes me sweat and I pull on my collar as I shift back in my chair. Me? I'm just me. I mean, I don't have any... What, secrets? Yes, just you. The you who's had a beautiful girl frowning on him for years, yet has never reciprocated. And as far as I know, has never dated either. No, not even in college. Don't tell me his eyes widen in amusement. Something's broken? It's not. My tongue feels about 5 times its normal size. I can feel the flush rise into my cheeks. Is it physical? Little Iggy not able to rise to the occasion? No, I'm not going to rise me or it to the occasion. Orlum looks positively fascinated now, leaning up and out of his seat in his growing excitement. Or could it be mental? A childhood trauma, perhaps? Did someone take advantage of poor little Orlum! Genzu raised his feet so fast he nearly knocks his glass over. For goodness sakes, leave the guy alone! Orlum grins. But he does sit back, lounging in his throne with a swish of his wine glass. I was merely asking him a question, you know. Guy talk and all that. We never have done enough of it. I can feel the sweat leaking down my forehead, back of my neck, soaking into my collar. I look for Orlum to gaze, then back to my lap. I need to say something. I'm just picky. I saved in the wrong spot there. I'm just picky. I guess I don't know, picky? Just haven't found anyone I really like yet. My head sinks lower and lower towards my collarbone. Picky isn't really the right word, but I don't know how else to explain it. I don't really understand it myself. I just don't have the urge to do that with, anyone. I'm overcome with a feeling of shame. Maybe I am broken. I stare down on my lap, my fingers curling the fabrics of my pants. Okay. There's picky and then there's ridiculous. Orlum finally says in wonderment, taking an overly large sip of his wine. When I finally summon the courage to raise my head, I see Genzu staring at me. His face is, well, it's unreadable is what it is. Which just makes me feel even worse. I quickly snap my gaze back towards my food. The tendrils of doubt I'd been semi-successful at trimming back are beginning to sprout with a flourish. I need to steer this conversation in a different direction pronto. I take an overzealous bite of sausage and probably choke. Anyway, I ask between... I was trying to get my phone there. I take a slug of wine to wash it down. What are your plans? I mean, down here with all of this. My plans? Autumn sits back, gazes around. Turn this place into a proper kingdom, I suppose. There's still so many inefficiencies, and I'd like to eventually expand. So much of this world is still unexplored. Think of all that untapped potential. I pause with the tines of my fork between my lips. That sounds pretty extensive. You're not going back then? I throw a glance towards Genzo at this, perhaps searching for backup, I don't know. But he's not looking at me. He grows quiet and is now just poking at his food. Oh, of course, I will eventually. But what's the point in rushing back? Bit of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity we've got here. Wouldn't want to waste it, I guess. My gaze falls, and I let my fork drop back to my plate. What little appetite I had has vanished completely. I'm not feeling too hot. I put a hand to my forehead and wipe the curls off my clammy skin. My throat feels positively parched. I grope for my wine glass, but must misjudge the distance because I probably knock it over instead. Sheesh! I jerk forward to catch it. I don't know, but the damage is already done. The red quickly seeps across the tablecloth. I'm sorry. It's no bother. These things happen. Orlem snacks his fingers, and a set of attendants rush over to begin mopping up the mess. Shame tickles my cheeks. Genzo finally looks up at me, his face softening in concern. Everything okay, Iggs? You don't look so great. I don't? I pull anxiously at my collar. I guess maybe I am feeling a bit weird. This is apparently enough to prompt him into action, because in the next moment he's to his feet. He turns to Orlem. You said you've got rooms for us. Of course, of course. A bit of rest will surely do the trick. He's no doubt exhausted. Orlem just smiles and snaps his fingers again. Guards, take Ignatius to the room we've prepared. He needs to rest. Two guards emerge from the main doorway. They march over and pull my chair away from the table. I stand up with a little wobble, the rush of blood sending momentary stars across my eyes. Genzo hesitates for a second, then he's pushing himself up and away and making his way around the table. He reaches me as the guards start leading me towards the exit. You sure you're okay? He reaches for my shoulder, then seems to decide against it. He pulls back. You want me to make sure you get settled? In case you need anything? I pause for a moment, then nod. Sure. Despite the awkwardness at the table, having a familiar face in this place would still be a welcome respite, but not Orlem. Though perhaps not just any face, his face in particular. So honestly, he doesn't think I'm a complete weirdo after all of that. But even if Genzo does think that, he doesn't say anything. In fact, he actually seems somewhat relieved at my response. He gives a little smile and reaches forward, tentatively placing a hand on my shoulder for support. This is very unlike last time when Genzo was just stood at the table ravishing on the food and wine. Then the guards lead both of us out of the hall. I'm sure Orlem is displeased about this. Back at the table, Orlem is lounging in his throne, eyebrows raised in curious thought as he watches us leave. Sleep well now. Oh dear. My head is really starting to feel fuzzy now. Sweat dribbles down the back of my neck and a cold chill sends goosebumps up and down my arms. The guards take us multiple flights of steps and my legs feel more jellified with each landing we reach. Finally, we turn down a hallway lined with ornately carved doors. They open the second door on the left and beckon us inside. It's delightfully dim inside. Nothing but a fluttering candelabra on the bedside table to light the room. And quiet too. Somehow it caused the intense beating starting up in the back of my head. Come on, let's get you in bed, Genzo says softly and leads me towards the bed. It's enormous and piled high with the soft white pillows. And when I shirk off my pants and slip under the sheets, it feels heavenly on my skin. Thanks, Genzo. Hey, what are friends for? Am I right or am I right? But he seems to grimace to himself at this. Anyway, he glances around. Maybe I shack up in the chair over there, yeah? In case you need anything. Once you're good now, I'll find one of the rabbit fellas to show me to my room. Own room, so I nod, but already my eyes are starting to creep shut. Tired. So tired. I don't even see Genzu finish his trek to the chair before they close completely. Hot. Dizzy. Tired. There's a thrum at the base of my skull, and my face feels clammy and flushed. I hope I haven't come down with something. I wonder for a moment if Genzo is comfortable. Then drift off into restless sleep. Restless sleep is the worst kind. Restful is much better of a sleep than restless. She's after me again. I can see her around every corner. Hands outstretched, breath hot and face flushed. Is this Gidget? Iggy, she coos. I can feel her hands on me, on my cheeks and neck, running through my hair and sliding across my chest. You're mine, Iggy. Now her hands are roving lower. Her fingers dart across my stomach, play with the fly of my boots. You don't need to be confused anymore. I'll fix you, Iggy. I'm not broken in the first place, Gidget. They dip inside. Open my mouth to protest, but now her hands are there too. On my cheeks, clutching to the skin, wrenching my head backwards, even as the other set of fingers begin to explore, begin to touch, begins to caress. I'll teach you exactly what you should want. Her thumbs find my eyes, pushing. I scream, but nothing comes out. Then sit up with a gasp. Black. Everything is black. And quiet. Quiet except for the rapid hammering of my heart. Where am I? Here. I look around. Rub at my face. Rub at my eyes. Check that my eyes are still there. Still intact. Well, if I can see, then that's good. Holy hell, Iggs! I jerk back at the voice, arms curling around my midsection, shallow, dry breaths pushing past my lips. Hey, movement. Then something sits on the side of the bed. I see Genzu's cap first, orange even in the darkness. Then as my eyes further adjust, his face comes into view, red and worried. You're fine, everything's fine. Mumbling and moving, something crazy in your sleep though, he chuckles. My mind zeroes in on that, on him, on that one point of comfort and safety in the inky blackness of the room. Then I move forward. And curl up against him, my head to his shoulder. I feel him tense against me. He doesn't move, not at first at least. He just sits there, muscles frozen. Then he looks skyward, almost as though seeking out an answer from some otherworldly being. Finally, he brings his arms around me, shifting me over and into his lap and gently repositioning me against his front. Yeah, he whispers. You okay there, Genzu? You alright there, buddy? You're fine. I breathe into his shoulder, long, slow, deep, calming breaths. My heart slowly begins to decelerate, soothed by the soft motion of his hand against my back. It's like being in a nest of warmth, completely and utterly safe. Just lying there against his chest, moving up and down with his belly. Calm, secure. I sit up slowly, just enough that I can see his face. And then I do something I've never done before in my entire life. I press my lips against his. It's quick and soft and I don't know how to say that word. Barely more than a brush really, but it's still a kiss. An actual kiss. His hands stop moving, clenching instead against my back, and his chest rises suddenly with his sharp intake of air. I pull back. He just looks at me for a moment, eyes wide. Holy hell, Iggs. It's the same line from earlier, but now it's low and hoarse. I hear him swallow. He opens his mouth, closes it, then opens it again. Finally. I've been wanting to do that for... He doesn't finish. He doesn't look at me either. Staring down somewhere around my clavicle, that word, as his hands clench and unclench in the fabric of my shirt. Sorry. Look at me. I'm all... He looks up at me and I swear I can see water dancing on his eyes. Damn eggs. Damn Genzu. Ah. Then he grabs me, pulls me in close, tight, kisses me again, harder this time. One of his hands digs into my curls as the other moves up and under my shirt, fingers rubbing my skin. Now it's my turn to freeze. My muscles lock up, breath catching in the back of my throat. My heart starts up again, faster and faster and thudding painfully against the inside of my chest. Genzu notices almost instantly. He stops and pulls back. Oh god, wait, was I wrong? Was that wrong? I'm so goddamn stupid. My body calms back down, slumping as my muscles untie themselves. I bring my hands to my face, to my hair, rubbing at the damp skin. Now comes the fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of the anger that will follow. I shake my head. No, I just can't. That makes me feel uncomfortable. That? I bite down my tongue, trying to search for the right words. That kind of... touching? I wince. Then pull on my hair with a groan. Frustrated at myself. Embarrassed at myself. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I just need more time. It's not that I don't like you. I think I might like you very much. But the anxious feeling of awkwardness grows with my every word, and I can feel myself shrinking in on myself in an effort to disappear. Genzu blinks in silence, then cocks an eyebrow with a smile. The blank actually laughs. Oh, is that all? You actually had me worried there for a sec. Ah, I bring my head back up, face no doubt a weird mixture of confusion and apprehension. You think I care about that? Goodness sakes, Iggs, to be honest, I feel like I always kinda knew, but I don't care. I don't care about any of that. Just being with you is enough for me. More than enough for me. You don't think I'm... broken? Bro? Yeah, you're a bro, but you're not broken. He stops, blinks, looks at me with a mixture of confusion and sadness. Goodness sakes. Goodness sakes to anyone that thinks that. He reaches forward, grabbing me back into a hug, the calm, gentle warmth of a previous hug, just holding me against him. There's nothing wrong with you, and don't let anyone ever make you feel otherwise, you hear me? It takes a second for the impact of this to fully resonate with my brain. Then it hits me, and it's like a wave of something just completely runs through my entire body, my muscles, limbs. Everything goes limp, with a release of the tension I didn't even know I'd been holding. My chest unclenches, my heart unclenches, even my eyes unclench, quickly filling up with big salty tears. It's okay. It's actually okay. I'm okay. This thought seems to spark me into motion, to return control to my body, and in that instant, I return the hug with everything I've got. I'm squeezing myself against him and into him. My own safe little cocoon, where there aren't any expectations, no judgment, just love, acceptance. I'm not sure how long we sit there, just like that. Finally, Genzu's grip loosens, and he runs a hand through my choppy hair. I'm guessing you're still tired and all, yeah? And I'm pretty exhausted too. Maybe we get some sleep then? He glances over at the pillows then winces, suddenly unsure. I mean, if it's okay. It takes a moment, then I realise what he's asking. I grin somewhat awkwardly. It's fine. His resulting grin could have lit up a room. Hey, I crawl back over under the covers as he sidles outside of his jacket and heavy pants, and I watch him come rolling over to join me. Soon, both of us are curled up beneath the sheets, eyes closed, breath heavy, and my head just barely touching his shoulder. I don't see her again the rest of the night, thank goodness. It's almost like Genzu next to us is like a shield that protects us from any encroaching nightmares. The next time I open my eyes, it's morning, and sun is pouring in from the window to paint warm squares of light across the sheets. I've left a nice patch of drool on the pillow, and a thin layer of crust has built up in the corners of my eyes. I blink, yawn, push myself up to a seat with a quiet groan. Genzo is still asleep next to me. He's not been captured, whisked away. He's on his back, face pointed at the ceiling and jaw slack. Thin, whistling snores punctuate his breath. I watch him for a few moments, hugging my legs against my chest. I can't stop the small smile from forming on my lips. For the first time for a while, I feel calm. It's nice. My brows furrow momentarily. What does all of this make me, then? I never thought about it before. Maybe because thinking about those expectations made my mind want to avoid the topic altogether. But just being with someone like this? Girls, guys, apparently it doesn't matter. It's not like I've ever had fantasies of being held before, or having someone there to care for me, care about me. But that warm presence has never had a face before, or a gender. All I know now is that if that warm presence is Gensu, then I'd like that very much. I chew on the inside of my cheek, then feel the telltale need for release building up just beneath my stomach. I throw a glance around the room. No bathroom here. There must be one in the hall. So I slide off the side of the bed and shrug my pants back on, giving my hips a little shimmy when my half-asleep limbs can't find the last bit of necessary energy to get the fabric over my thighs. I snatch my glasses up off the bedside table as I make my way to the door, pausing for a moment to let my view come into full focus before slowly and softly creaking the handle open. I slip out. Pull the door closed behind me. Search down the hallway for any sign of a door that screams bathroom. But we're going to see what this entails in the next time around. I don't really have much to say about all of this in a very different way in comparison to the previous episode when it comes to all of the different events that happen physically, but when it comes to the mental state of a personnel and the reason and drive behind actions in which they perform, then in this case there has to be some kind of formality with Orlum and the way he just casually allows us to go off. Because on the last time around when we were here, Genzu was still at the table while we were escorted back to our room on our own. But this time around, Genzu's with us. So I wonder if he knows about that. And then rather than staying at the table, he then follows us along with the rabbits who escorted us back to our room. So I do wonder what's going to entail the next time, because it looks like Genzu's not going to be captured. But then again, we might go to the bathroom and then come back and then he's no longer there. And then we hear screaming in the background or something along those lines. Hopefully I'm not foreshadowing the next episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you all in the next time of Our Wonderland. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care of yourselves, everyone.